Hello, my friend. Glad to see you made it today. Glory be to God. We have gathered together in the name of Jesus Christ. And He's alive. He's alive. Have you ever thought about what it means to serve two masters? Right? What is that like? Because there's many people who are serving two masters. I know in my own experience that people who are consumed or overwhelmed with things or money, social status, their image, these things can consume you and then master over you. Same way, our anger, our disappointment, our frustration can master over us. You know, that's the thing. It's not always what we say, but how we say it and when we say it. That's could be the question. You know, I know as an experience of my own life, you know, I do not like construction world. I don't like doing construction work, any kind. Yet that's what I've learned through my life of how I could use my hands to, I don't know, make money for myself. But we live in America. We have the American dream. And if you can be anything you want, right, in life? Or is that true? You know, when I'm out there working in construction world, I feel like I'm wasting my energy, wasting my time. And in all of it, I just grow more frustrated and angry. You know, it sucks when the only way you can get the job or whatever, I don't know, your buddy wants you to help, and then next thing you know, it's be there at 4 o'clock in the morning. Now you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning, getting ready to go to work at 5. You start your day in a negative thought. I mean, anybody up at 4 o'clock in the morning getting ready to go to work is probably a little irritated. And then your buddy, you know, because you don't want to give you a little extra money for the gas that it takes to drive 2 hours every day back and forth from the job site, decides to pick you up, right? And then all of a sudden there you are. Okay, 5 in the morning, you know. Go to the store, get me some smokes and coffee, right? And willingly your buddy does it, but at 80 miles an hour, just whoosh. And when you turn 45, you turn 50, you get older, those things just aren't funny anymore. And then you don't even know how to receive that. Are you angry? Are you upset? That somebody would ask of you? And there your day is just set in motion of a negative day. You know, later that day I'm at work, and one of the co-workers, real happy-go-lucky guy, very happy guy. And when the boss says jump, this guy jumps, and was that high enough, boss? Need me to do it again? Very happy-go-lucky, love his job. And the guy who's there all negative and F-bombing, upset. Right? The other guy's like, man, I'm the only one here with a positive attitude today. Can we hear God speak through other people? Can we hear that? You know, and that's the thing with our world and our lives. especially in America, growing up in a narcissistic world. They teach children at school how to become narcissistic. You can watch the programming on television, how they teach people to become narcissistic. Trying to influence our thoughts that's what the good life is. That's the way normal people live. That's how normal people laugh. Those are the jokes normal people respond to. But is that always true? They want to convince you that it's normal. You know? So you gotta have the full armor of God. Every day you gotta wake up first thing with the armor of God, the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, a shield of faith, feet shodded or shoed with the way of peace, the way of righteousness. Because we're going to go and we're going to engage in a narcissistic world, in a world that is being ruled over by two masters. I mean, there's nothing worse than when you spend 6, 7, 8 days working, go to the grocery store 1 or 2 times, and you're completely broke. And then having constantly, day in and day out, every day and every night, so where is my comfort going to come from? Where is my money going to come from? Where's my house payment going to come from? Where's my insurance payment going to come from? Right? Where's my car payment going to come from? And that worry, that stress doesn't go away in life. Ever. Ever. And we think we live in a beautiful world, yet the beautiful world is tainted through the taxation of its people. Tax the people so heavily that 30, 40, 50% of your wages is gone before you even get home from work. And just imagine, the less you have, the more stressed out you are over that. Having to surrender. Surrender. Can you imagine Paul in his day walking out into a world, being a Christian, a child of God, a believer in Jesus Christ? In a pagan world, right? He's got the Romans, and they're stuck in their pagan worship, right? And they didn't walk around as pagans. No, they were worshippers of Diana, or Archimedes, another word for the same god. The goddess Diana was a goddess of fertility, a goddess of life, good fortune. Right? That's the god with the statue with hundreds of titties. Titties for all the babies and all the life this goddess produced. And you want to go into the temple and worship the goddess Diana? It was basically a giant whorehouse because they had temple prostitutes filled the whole place. I mean, if you want to visit Diana, you gotta come and experience the joy of life, which was steeped in lust, sexual immorality, the worship of an idol. They loved the statue, many titties, but they despised one another, all the people who worshiped the statue. It's amazing. Do we ever think that a Christian could be the friend of a pagan? And that's kind of what Paul and them had to do. Stay away from those who practice witchcraft. Because those who are not of God will not accept you. Accept you. In any way, shape, or form. The world will only love itself, and it will not love that doesn't belong to it. And in a world that loves only itself, lovers of themselves, a lot of people claim to know God, and Christianity, paganism, or some sort of worship of a higher power. Yet all of them completely reject the power of God, the power of love. God is loving. You know, I was going and hang out in the pagan groups, preaching the gospel of Jesus, and it's like fire to them. See fire, become angry. Tell a bad person, hey man, you're doing bad things and there's no way you're going to be able to produce anything good so long as you continue being a bad person. And what defines a bad person? Their actions, their abusive words, their hatred, their willingness to despise neighbors. See, those are all the things that define sin. Yeah, many people say God is unjust. Gives us a way out of our sin through the knowledge of Jesus Christ. We know Jesus came from God. And everyone who loves God loves the Son of God, loves the child of God, loves God's children. I asked a pagan today, inside this pagan social media group, because I'm one of the most hated people in that group. I mean, it's unbelievable. I said, you know what would happen if you got sick and wound up having to go to the doctor or go to the hospital, and you're there at the hospital, and later you come to find out, I'm your doctor. What would you do? What would you do? Because I already know what I would do. I would help you. I would help you. You know, that's the thing. Many people want to convince others that people who read the Bible, who worship God, who follow His commands, are insane. I don't know where that comes from. It's amazing when a Christian says, "Good morning, pagans." All kinds of blasphemous things come forth from them. A lot of anger and hatred. You know. In the end, what divides us all? What's dividing us all? Our skin color? Our religion? You know? Our wantonness? That's the thing with being stuck in wantonness. It's not that wantonness is a sin, that's a sign of being punished. Wanting maybe control. And when we're not in control, when the master is in control, whatever it is, money, anger, frustration, greed, hate, whatever consumes our thoughts, whatever consumes our day is our master. Whatever has the ability to rob us of our peace and contentment is our master. Ezekiel chapter 17 and 18 says, now Ezekiel was a prophet, Jeremiah was a prophet, Daniel was a prophet. These guys were all rose up at about the same time, and they were spread out. Right? Israel's a big place, and there they don't have telephones, they don't have the internet. So God raises up prophets in different areas, north and middle and the south. They're all saying the same message. Saying the same message to Jerusalem. Even Jeremiah speaking to the king of Israel, king of the Jews. Saying to them, Nebuchadnezzar is coming, the enemy is coming, and God has so chosen to deliver you into the hands of the enemy. And if you just surrender to the will of God, you'll be okay. There's no problem. And the king made an agreement with Nebuchadnezzar, handing over, that's how Daniel went over there, handing over some of the brightest and youngest, smartest kids in the council, handing them over to Nebuchadnezzar. And then later the king decided, I want to break the contract, break the treaty. Not going to surrender my people to Nebuchadnezzar. I'm going to go to Egypt. I'm going to go to Pharaoh and find a strong army, help, chariots, weapons. And many people died because the king refused to believe God. That it was the will of God to hand the people over to their enemies. Why was God handing them over to their enemies? They didn't believe God. They were worshiping idols and everything. God can rise up to the highest and God can bring down to the lowest. God is always in control. And why are we frustrated and angry when we're seeking for a master other than God? Other than love, other than kindness. The willingness to suffer long amounts of time for the greater good of a whole family. Why are we always stuck in the negative, in the bitterness? Why are we so unwilling to forgive? Why are we so unwilling to let live? Same way like my dad. My son goes to work, 5 o'clock in the morning, getting ready to leave work, and of course, he's upset and wants boy to buy dog food for his own dog. But 5 o'clock in the morning, as you're getting ready to go to work, isn't the time or the place for that type of conversation. Because nothing's going to change and nothing's going to be different or nothing's going to happen until after he comes home from work. Why not wait? And the reason, can't even sleep at night because of the stress I'm under, because of the oppression that my master has brought upon me. Being consumed with worry and stress of where's that next meal coming from? How's the bills going to be paid? And yet God says, my desire is to release you from that burden. That burden. You know, we only have enough faith for today. And if we try to gobble up and eat too much faith, right? The people who ate the meat in the wilderness, the quail, said only gather up enough for today. Except for on Friday, right? The day before the Sabbath. On that day, you could get twice as much, so that on the Sabbath you didn't have to go out and gather up any of the stuff, the meat. And everybody who tried to store meat for the next day didn't just eat for today. It rotted, and then maggots came, and there was stench and stink. But everybody who only ate for what was for the day had no problems. And each day God would provide the meat, the manna, the water. So faith. We have enough faith for today. And if we try to use today's faith for tomorrow, we become frustrated. Just right there in the midst of thinking about how am I going to deal with tomorrow, right now, begins to grow sour, begins to grow bitter. You know, that's the thing. Violence, anger will never bring peace. Only surrender. And surrendering to God's will. You know, it's the thing I wish people would come to see in the United States of America. It's how it is the will of God that we would see, recognize, and understand the well-being of our neighbors is a God-given right. The well-being of our neighbors is a God-given right. And if our neighbors aren't protected, how can we say we are protected? You know, if you're out there clothing the naked, if you're out there feeding the hungry, if you have your house open as a place of hospitality, if you're taking care of the needs of your neighbors, then you are righteous and holy in the eyes of God, and surely you shall live. Jesus repeats everything spoken in Ezekiel chapter 18, in Matthew chapter 25. It's almost word for word. Jesus didn't bring a new teaching, a new testament. Each one of you will be judged as according to your own deeds. Sometimes we don't recognize the ripple effect. The ripple effect of serving two masters, like my father. Not being able to sleep, being stressed, being worried. And that's what helping a buddy for 7 days, you get paid and go to the grocery store, gone in a moment, flash. Not able to pay the rest of the bills. And immediately, in a place of stress, can't sleep, ripple effect, Pops wakes up, bitches and moans at his grandson. 5 o'clock in the morning, he goes off to work in a negative attitude, the ripple effect. And we're all angry. We're all upset. And why? Why? Is it because we're unwilling to lift the hand of oppression? Lift the hand of oppression? I mean, if you was a pagan and you were sick in the hospital and found out I was your doctor, would you tell me, don't touch me? Would you tell me, be gone from me, you wicked evildoer? Would you ask me, do you believe in Jesus Christ? Because if you do, then you cannot care for me. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing how willing we are to divide and to live in that bitterness and negativity. I mean, we see it shined forth in full power. So we watched the debates, the impeachment trial, watch all those things. Full force of negativity. We hate you guys, and we hate you guys. We make fun of you guys. We make fun of you guys. Idiots, dumbasses, just back and forth. And nobody, nothing changes. Are we proud of that? As a nation, as an individual, are you proud of that? You know, it's upsetting, and this is why. We need the full armor of God every morning, as soon as we wake up, to be able to go into a pagan-filled world, yet be the example that God desires us to be. As Jesus is the living example. Love as I have loved you. That's the command. And you want to love God, you have to obey His command. Because in obeying His command is the love of God. This is how the love of God is found. We're a divided nation. Jesus says the members of your own household are going to be your greatest enemy. In the same way, the king of Israel, who decided not to just hand himself over or his people over willingly to the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, thousands, millions died. As they placed a siege, ripping out the king's eyes, killing his family, his sons and his daughters, his servants, making it the last thing he saw. And then the king paraded him around as a fool. All I have to do is believe God. That when you're fully covered in the armor of God, you can go anywhere. Through the valleys of the shadows of death. When the Lord is your shepherd. You can face evil. Not be afraid. When the Lord is your shepherd, surely you can put your faith and trust that good things will follow your steps. Quiet, gently flowing streams. Nourishment, life, wherever be flowing in your direction. You know, do we hear God speaking through other people? You know, because God brings the truth. Jesus is the truth. And so the truth is seen in this thing called reality. This one thing that no one can escape from. Life. The trials of life, the testing of life, pains of life. It's amazing people who are 20s, 30s, 40s don't give a crap about those who are 60s, 70s, and 80s. Yet those are our parents. Of course, only in America is it, you're 18, get the hell out. Where other people care and tend to their family members so long as they're alive. And that's strange to Americans. We don't care for our own children because when they're 18, we throw them out of the house to the wolves. How much more or how much less do we despise our neighbors whom we don't even know? What's our master? Who's our master? Is mastering us, is it our anger? Our frustration? Our wantonness? Is it money? Or is it fear? Fear. Because when we're in the full armor of God, all fear has been removed. It's okay to forgive. Even when they don't deserve it. It's okay to surrender and accept the fact that some people may not change. And so we have to adapt to them. You know. It's kind of an interesting thought. Do parents raise children, or do children raise parents? Because a child doesn't change. Child is a child. The parent must change and adapt to the child's needs. Now what if God was our Father, our parent? Our parent. Surely He disciplines those He loves. And if we could see the learning opportunity in our mistakes, if we could see it, surely we could choose another path. If we could see the ripple effect of negative energy, negative thoughts, negative atmosphere. If we could see it and the ripple effect it has, the consequences that come from it, can't we also renew our mind and choose a more positive path? A positive path. One absent of anger, hatred, and unforgiveness. I don't know. And we say, the way of the Lord is not fair. It's unfair. And what is the way of the Lord? He who humbles himself will be exalted in due time. He who makes himself selfless will find peace. Love others second. Love yourself third. Love God first. And everything of the kingdom will be handed to you. I think that's the thing that they all missed. So the king was so willing to stand up for his pride. He allowed thousands of people to be murdered without reason, unjustly. All they had to do was surrender. Surrender to the will of God. Trusting that God would be there with them in the midst of the battle. Because the battle belongs to the Lord. The battle belongs to our Dad. Let us love one another. Let us do it with a sincere heart. Whomever we are. Wherever we are. Let us be the leading example of love. And I don't think you can be the leading example of love without offending people. Because sin is offensive. And when you see nothing but sin, you're offended. Offended. Angry. And I think the problem is there's only one place sin can be generated from. The darkness that's stored up within our own heart. The only place love can be generated from is from the goodness that is stored up and generated from within our own heart. It's a gift. You can't buy love. It can only be given away, and only you can give it. In the same way, forgiveness. Forgiveness cannot be bought or purchased. It can only be given away. And only you can give it. Right? So choose life. Choose to release yourself from the oppression of a false master. Blessed are those who trust in Jesus Christ. See you next time.